Hello and welcome to the Emoji Expressions Quiz app tutorial. Today we're going to be making a quiz that quizzes users on how to correctly evaluate numerical expressions, and they have to use the order of operations to do that. And so the emoji part comes in when they tell the user if they get the answer correct or not. So first, I want you to think about this as an introduction. How would you evaluate this expression? 4 plus 3 times 6 minus 1. The very first thing you'd want to look for is the different operations that are being used here. And we should know that multiplication and division come before addition and subtraction in the order of operations. So it would be great if we could put parentheses around this and realize that we need to do that 3 times 6 first. So then it ends up being 4 plus 18 minus 1, which is the same thing as 22 minus 1 or 21. So that is the correct way to evaluate that expression. And we're going to be quizzing our users doing something similar in our app. So let's take a look at how we're going to set it up. I have a screen where I have a picture of an emoji or a bunch of emojis, and then a start the quiz button. That button is going to lead to screen 2 where I have an expression. You can either include the parentheses or not and see if your users can remember that multiplication comes before addition or subtraction. Make sure to throw some division questions in there as well. So then you have 4 possible answers that the user could select. So you have your expression up top and you have the 4 different possible answers. When the user taps on the correct answer, this emoji will show up, or whatever emoji you've selected to be your correct emoji. You can also make it so that in the incorrect answers, a wrong emoji shows up, or a sad face, or a crying emoji, or whatever you select. The next button on screen 2 will lead to screen 3, 4, 5, however many questions you end up making. And then on the very last question that you have, on that screen, you'll have a next button that goes to a last screen. And I don't have the number of that screen because it does depend on how many questions you create. And on that last screen, we'll just have a label that says, you've done a great job, congratulations, maybe another picture. That's totally up to you guys. Now, before we start creating the actual app, we're going to have partnerships mostly. And so you need to decide who's going to be the driver and who's going to be the navigator. The driver is the person whose hands are on the computer the whole time doing the work. The navigator is the person that helps keep them on track. Make a plan right now for who's going to be which one and also how often you will switch. And then we'll come back and start using Thunkable. Okay, so when you're at the Thunkable website, go ahead and click sign in. We're going to be signing in to the iOS version. We're making an iPad app today, and then you can click sign in with Google. It may remember who you are, so just select the account, or you may need the password to be typed in. Once you're in the account, you'll see all the different apps that have been created in this account. You're going to create a new one. You don't want to touch any of the other ones that are in there because they belong to someone else, and we don't want anything to happen to those. So give your app a title. I've put my initials at the end. I think that's a really good idea for you as well so that it doesn't get confused with the other apps in there. So mine says Emoji Expression HD, and then create. Once you've done that, go ahead into your app, and this is our screen that we see. This is the version or the visual that we have of what our app will look like. And then we have our components over here. These are different things within the user interface section or screen layout that we can kind of do to our app. And then once we put them on there, we have properties that we can change. So let's go through it a step at a time. We've got screen 1 here. We need a start button on this screen and a picture. If you remember back here, we want our screen 1 to look like this. So a picture and a start button. Let's go ahead and start with the start button. I'm going to click add component and drag a button over to my screen. Now, if I click on button over here, I can change the text to say something like start the game or whatever you would like. You can also play around with making the font bold, italicized, change the font size, background color of the whole screen, or background color of the button, I'm sorry. So you could do that. And so that's what our first button will look like. That's button 1. And then on screen 1, if you wanted to change the background color of the whole thing, you could do something like that, whatever you want. Now, instead of putting a background picture in there, I want to put an image right on top of my button. So I'm going to go back to add a component, and I'm going to go into the image category here and drag an image over to my screen. Oops, I right-clicked instead. Okay. So my image is going to show up there, but we don't have any pictures in our app yet. We actually have to upload the files to our app in order to use them. Now I'm going to be eventually wanting a correct emoji and an incorrect emoji. So like a happy emoji and a sad emoji. So I'm going to be looking for two of those and putting them here. I will probably just put my happy emoji on the main screen here, but I'm going to go ahead and find both of those pictures now. So to find an image, we do not want to just steal images from images.google.com. What we want to do is find copyright friendly ones that people have said are okay to use. So when you're at images.google.com, you're going to click on settings and do an advanced search. The first emoji I'm going to look for is a happy emoji. You guys might want to find a specific emoji, but it should convey the message that they got the question correct. So it's a good emoji. And when you find one here, oh, you know what? I didn't even tell you. I'm going to go back to that. So you can type your search term up here, and then you go all the way down to the bottom, and where it says usage rights, you want to make sure you select this one, free to use or share, even commercially, and then click that blue button. That way we know that all of these are free to use or share for our project. So I like this one for my happy emoji. I'm going to go ahead and save it. Now this is very important. When you right click on this, say save image as, you want to change the name of this to something you can remember. So I'm going to say happy and then save. So that's the name of mine, is just happy. And I'm making it super simple because you'll find out why in a second. The next one I'm going to do is a sad emoji. And I'm going to, let's see, I think I like this one. And I'm going to right click on this, save image as, and this one I'll call sad. Now, now that I have these down here in my bar, in my download section, I can just drag them up top here. I'm going to do that for each of them, happy and sad, and now they're in my app. If for some reason you don't have the downloads bar here, you can do the choose a file thing and navigate to it on your computer. So I have happy and sad uploaded. Now, when I go to image 1, there's a spot for me to type in the name of my picture. So that's why I wanted you to call it something simple. I'm going to go back and I'm going to type in exactly what this is. In fact, you could highlight it, press Control C, and go back to image and do Control V to make sure you get it 100% correct. Once you do that, you'll see that it shows up right here. Okay. Resize mode, you could play around with this if you want, making it bigger. You can, let's see. So this is absolute size. This is telling me how many pixels this is for height and width. So if I wanted to change it to 100 with the height, I would also want to change it to 100 with the width because it's a square. All right, so this is my first screen and button 1 is down here. What do we want that button to do? We have our picture, we have our button, we want it to go to screen 2. Well, we can't do that without a screen 2. So let's go back and add a component. And this time in the screen section, we want to add a screen. Drag that over here to the top. See how the blue line is there? That's where it's going to show up. So there's my screen 2. Now I like to have screen 1 on top of screen 2, so I'm going to remove that because I like to have things in order. It's up to you. So screen 1 is first, and then screen 2, there's nothing on it right now. That's okay. I'm going to go back, and now we need to program that button to go to screen 2. So I'm going into blocks, and screen 1 is already selected. I actually want button 1, so that when button 1 is clicked, we want something to happen, right? We want it to navigate to screen 2. So I want to control that button. So in all these sections that I have, all these categories that I have over here, I want the control one. And if you scroll down, you'll see navigate to, and we will navigate to screen 2. Okay, so now you have some code embedded on your first screen so that when this button is pressed, it will navigate to screen 2. So that's it for the first video. In the next video, we're going to actually create screen 2 with a question on it, and I will show you how to make the emoji pop up for the correct answer.